Hello everyone, welcome back to Storytime with Renu. Today I am going to share yet another story written by me and it's called Radha and the Magic Clock. Radha was a small girl living in a very big house. But this house was very old. Everything in that house had become so old and most of the rooms were shut. When Radha was a very small baby, there were lots of people living in that house. But as Radha started to grow up, one by one, all her uncles and aunts and cousins went away. Only her Amma, Appa and her grandpa were living there. They didn't have too much money. So Appa and Amma worked hard. They hardly had enough money to look after that house. This was her Amma's father's house. Every now and then Radha would hear her mother say, "Appa, why can't we sell this house?" And he would say, "Not as long as I am alive. This house has belonged to my family for so many years. I don't want to sell it." And so they continued living there because her Amma didn't want to leave Grandpa alone. But Radha liked the house. It was such a nice house, so many rooms, so many things to play with. And best of all, Grandpa had lots and lots of stories to tell her. So every evening when she came back from school, she would sit next to Grandpa and he would tell her lots and lots of stories of what he used to do when he was a small child, how many friends he had, the number of people who used to live in that house, the kind of food and parties that they used to have. Radha was so fascinated by all of this. Then one day she asked Grandpa, "Tata, just an old clock, no, in that room. Why is it called grandfather clock?" "Oh, Radha, that's because there's an old grandfather living inside." "Really, Tata? Don't tell lies." "No, Radha, really. When I was a small boy like you, I would go and sit inside that grandfather clock. You know how big it is? You can open that door and I was small enough to fit inside. I used to go inside every now and then to play by myself. But one day when I was sitting there, I heard a voice. There's an old man living there and we used to talk to each other so much. He used to tell me such wonderful stories. But he will show himself only if you believe in him." One of my friends came one day and I told him about the old man. But he said, "Oh, come on, you're telling lies." Then I told him, "Why don't you go inside and see?" My friend went inside. But Grandpa never came out. "What did you call him?" "Grandpa." "Oh, do you think if I went and sat inside, he will show himself to me?" "Radha, he will show, but only if you believe in him." So Radha decided to try that out one day. So the next evening, she opened the door of the grandfather clock, managed to squeeze herself inside, sat down and then said, Grandpa, are you here?" But there was no answer. And so she thought Tata was telling lies. And she came out. And she went to her Tata and said, "Tata, you just say tall tales. There is no one inside." "Radha, I told you, you have to believe in him. Only then he'll show himself to you." Okay. Now one day, her Tata fell ill. And he was lying down in bed. It took many days. Now Radha was bored. There was no one to tell her stories. Then one day she remembered the grandpa in their grandfather clock. And so she opened that door, went inside and sat down. Grandpa, are you here?" But there was nothing in answer. So Radha started to cry. She was missing her grandpa so much. And then she heard a voice. "Radha, why are you crying?" And she looked and there was a tiny man sitting there opposite her. He had long grey hair and a long beard. And she started to giggle because this man had tied up his hair in two plaits And she said, why are you wearing your hair in two plaits? Because it's too long for me now. And every time I try to walk this side and that side, I keep tripping over it. So I decided to plait it. Why? Does it look funny? Is that why you're laughing at me? No, Grandpa, you look very cute with it. Then Radha said, my Tata is very sick and I have no one to talk to. Can you tell me some stories? Why not, Rara? Rara? Yes, that's my name for you. And so that day on, every day, Radha would go there and Grandpa would tell her stories. Then one day she asked him, Grandpa, how long have you been living here? Oh, Rara, for lots and lots. I don't remember when I first came here. But this clock is very old. So I must be hundreds of years old. Hundreds of years? Oh, maybe not that long. From the time this clock was made. But why do you live here, Grandpa? Because I am the one who sounds the gong. For every hour. For 1 o'clock I go dung. For 2 o'clock I go dung dung. For 3 o'clock I go dung dung dung. For 4 o'clock, dung 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 dung, said Radha. Yes, and if I don't make that sound, people will think that the clock is not working and then they will send the clock away and I'll also have to go away. Don't do that then. You must sound it. Otherwise my parents will sell you off. Yes, that is why I have to stay awake. But you never get to sleep? No, but I don't need to sleep. I am still young, you see. You are young. Don't laugh, Rara. Okay. So every day Radha would go in. One day her mother was looking for her. Radha, where are you? Radhu, come out. I know you're hiding somewhere. Then Radha quickly got onto the grandfather clock. And her mother saw her. She said, Radhu, what are you doing in there? Tata told me about this place, Amma, and there's an old man in there. He's the one who makes the clock work. Oh, Radhu, I don't know what kind of stories my father's been telling you. Come down, let's go and have lunch. And nobody believed her. Not her mother, not her father, not her friends. But Radha didn't mind. She decided that Grandpa was her secret. Days went by. Then one day, when Radha was sitting and doing her homework, it was 4 o'clock, but there was no sound. And Radha was worried. Quickly she went and opened the grandfather clock, and there was Grandpa fast asleep. And she woke him up and said, Grandpa, wake up. What? Oh, Grandpa, you fell asleep and you didn't sound the 4 o'clock gong. Oh, it looks like I'm getting old, Radha. What? That means the clock will stop working and you'll go away. Maybe one day that will happen. Don't worry, I will continue to work. Did anybody notice that I did not ring the gong for 4 o'clock? I don't think so, Grandpa. But don't forget to sound the 5 o'clock one. I won't forget. Because my Amma will definitely notice. Because that is the time when she goes out into the garden. Don't worry, Radha. Go finish your homework and come. So Radha went out, finished her homework and came back. But just as she was going to get in, her mother called her. Radhu, come out. I want to show you something. So Radha ran out. Then she was listening. Dung, 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 dung. Thank God, thought Radha. But as the days went on, every now and then, Grandpa would fall asleep and the gong would not go. And one day, Amma noticed it. Another day, Appa noticed it. And then they were talking to themselves. They were talking to each other. And Amma said, looks like we have to give away that clock. It's not working properly. Yeah, I noticed it too, said Appa. Radha was very worried. No, you can't get rid of that clock, Amma, Appa. It's my favorite clock and Grandpa is there. Oh, Radhu, you and your stories. Tata's been telling you all this stuff about this grandpa. Forget about it, Radhu. It's just an old clock. One day anyway we'll have to sell it. Don't sell it, Ma, please. Okay, we won't sell it now. Then Radha ran to the clock and she said, don't do this, Grandpa. Why are you falling asleep like this? Amma and Appa have noticed and now they're going to sell you off. Don't worry, Radha. I will continue to sound the gong. So for the next few days, Grandpa did not fall asleep. But then, soon there came a time when Grandpa slept longer and longer and longer. And finally, one day, there was no gong at all. And when Radha went to see, Grandpa was fast asleep. When she woke him up, he said, "Oh Radha, I don't think I can do this anymore." "Then what will happen now?" "Your parents will sell me off, but don't worry. I will go away to a very safe place." "Then what will happen to the clock?" "They'll probably fit it with a new, this new kind of clocks with a battery or something. Then the clock will continue to run and so somebody will buy it." "Then what will happen to you?" "I will go back to that place I came from. But don't worry, I'm going to give you something special. Go and bring a pair of scissors." So Radha ran and brought a pair of scissors. Then before she could do anything, Grandpa cut off one plait and then the other one and he said, "Here, this is for you. Now you can tell my story to everyone. And if they don't believe, you can show them my two plaits. And if they still don't believe, you still have a story to tell them." Right, Radha? "Right, but I'm going to miss you, Grandpa." "I will miss you too, but I can no longer live like this. I'm not able to sound the gong. So what's the use of me staying here? And it's time for me to go. So let's say bye now, okay, Radha?" "Okay, Grandpa. Bye." "Bye, Radha. I won't be here when you come tomorrow. So take care of yourself, okay?" "Okay." And crying, Radha left the clock. The next few days, the gong never sounded. And one day, some people came, they liked the clock, and they bought it. And Amma and Appa were happy because they needed the money. Grandpa was still refusing to sell the house, and he was very, very sick now. So they no longer asked him about it. As the years went by, Radha grew up. Her tata had passed away and her parents had sold the house. Now Radha was living in her own house. She had children and she had lots of friends. And every time she told this story, her children would listen with their eyes wide open and they would say, "Amma, you are so lucky to sit in that clock and meet that wonderful grandpa." "Yes, wasn't I?" And then she would take out those two plaits and show it to everybody. And from generation to generation, that plaits went to each child and the story continued to be told. And that's how I came to think of this story and I am telling it to you. Now you can tell this story to many other people. If you believe in that story, you will one day find someone like Grandpa. Until next time, bye.